Oh, that's a keep.
We finally did it. We did it. We came up with a Voltron deck. It was right in front of my eyes. It was so simple. It was so easy. It was so obvious. 8.5 tails. Come on. So expect that in the future. I was asking myself like 2-3 days ago in a distillate-fueled short-term memory loss haze. What was the first set that introduced Legends? There's a little spoiler for you. It was the set Legends. Anyway, after I got past the stupidity of my question, I had another question. What if they introduced like Commander when they first introduced Legendaries? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would have been a better time to introduce it, but it wasn't a thing back then. But if it was a thing back then, what would a CEDH deck look like? Like a Legends era 1994 CEDH deck. Who would the commander be? What would the best combos in the format be? What would the best ways to win be? What would that deck, kind of look like? So we're going to answer that question today. We're going to go through all the legends, go through all the legal set cards, and we're going to build a CEDH deck, or what one would look like back in 1994. The first thing I want to talk about is CEDH is a format defined by winning quickly or comboing quickly. You're just trying to win as fast as you can. So I think the best place to start would be looking at what legal combos were around back then. And there's only pretty much one that's legal. Time Vault's illegal, so you cannot do the Time Vault Animate Artifact Instill Energy combo. That was the technical first combo that won you the game that ever existed, but you cannot do that. It's illegal. So the combo we're going to roll with is Basalt Monolith plus Power Artifact plus Fireball. A classic, because you can't do Channel Fireball either. We play Basalt Monolith. We play Power Artifact, which gives you the ability to reduce your activation cost on artifacts by 2, which means untapping Basalt will only cost 1, so you can tap Basalt, use one of the mana to untap Basalt, tap Basalt, and you'll just get infinite mana, and then we use that infinite mana to Fireball somebody. So that's the game plan. We can get that out as early as turn... So we can turn 3 Basalt Monolith, turn 4 Power Artifact, and have the red open to that. So we can win turn 4. This deck is aiming to win turn 4. I'm convinced that's the earliest you could win with cards that are legal. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but this is what I've worked out. So this is going to be our game plan. We're trying to Basalt Monolith, Power Artifact, and Fireball someone in the fucking face. Also, you might be asking yourself, hey Nick, why the sleeveless tee? Kind of a weird option. I was trying to go for more of a like, welcome to the gun show, but it came out looking more like a welcome to gays. Can I see your license and ID? I stuck with it because I think that's kind of funnier. And my shirt says America. So this whittles out a lot of the potential commanders we could run because we need blue and we need red in the deck. So if we look at the commanders from Legends, if we head over there, it'll knock out a ton of these. So we need to find ones that have blue and black in their mana cost, or blue and red in their mana cost, sorry. So we need a commander with blue and red, which are none of those, none of those, none of those. Gwendolyn DeCourcy or DeCourcy. She's cool. She's like a bad oldest profession having ass assassin, which is kind of cool. 1 red, 2 black, and a blue for a 3/5. You can tap her. Target player discards 1 card from their hand at random. This ability may only be used during your turn. In comparison, like, because these cards are not super powerful. There's a few that are like, oh, those are pretty good. But most of these are not super strong. But by that standard, that's actually not bad. Having your opponent discard something at random out of their hand every one of your turns, that's really not bad. Is it helping our strategy in any way, or is it keeping us alive? I don't think so, but she's definitely on the... We'll save her because she's definitely on the potential list if we don't end up finding something else that works better. None of those. None of those. Nicol Bolas. 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red. I feel like that already takes him out of the running. Like, because if we're going for CEDH and our goal is to just like dig and win turn 4, I don't think that's gonna work. Is the whole thing. I do feel like Grixis is really good because I think there's a tutor, if I'm not mistaken. If there's not, that sucks. But Grixis is good because we get black for removal, maybe a tutor, and blue for card draw. So we'll be able to dig for this combo, which is really nice. 8-drop commander. I don't think that's what we're really going for. None of those. None of those. We got Solkanar the Swamp King. 2, a red, a black, and a blue for a 5/5 Swamp Walk. Solkanar's controller gains 1 life each time a black spell is cast. So you gain 1 every time anyone plays a black spell. That's not very good. Tetsuo Umezawa. Okay, so we got a 3-drop here. Red, black, blue for a 3/3. You can pay 1 red, 2 black, and a blue, tap it, destroy target tapped creature or target blocking creature. Tetsuo may not be the target of enchantment creature spells. Oh, so he's cheap, which is good for CEDH. He will remove other attacking creatures, or he'll destroy other attacking creatures, which is, or tapped creatures, but you know. But there is a lot of tap activations, so if we're talking back in the 1994, that'd actually be really good, because this thing would kill a lot of the legendaries, because a lot of them have tap abilities. But it also kills attacking and blocking creatures, which is really good because I feel like a lot of the strategies back then would be like trying to bash face. We're trying to play big stuff. We're trying to play like the deck and blades, and we're trying to just bash face for as much as we can, or we're trying to combo. And I don't think there's a ton of ways to stop combos other than counter spells, which we'll worry about later. But stopping the combat stuff, I think Tetsuo is really good at doing that, actually. It stops big stuff from swinging at us. It's an early game drop. It gives us access to Grixis, gives us access to our combo. Okay, so Tetsuo is definitely my favorite so far. I think that's the best one so far. It's hitting all the marks we need for the CEDH. None of those, and none of those, and we're at the bottom. I think Tetsuo is the best one out of all those, hands down. Okay, so we landed on Tetsuo. It's $130, but back then it wouldn't have been. This is a theoretical video. Don't pay attention to the price. He hits all the marks we're looking for. Having access to Grixis seems very, very good. Having access to blue and red gives us our combo. He's a 3-drop for a 3/3, which for back then, that's actually super good stats. Like, we got Centaur stats on this guy. And he protects himself from any kind of enchantment removal. Our CEDH deck in 1994 is officially a Tetsuo Umezawa deck. So a really important thing to keep in mind is at this point in time, there would be 4 legal sets that aren't like weird, like collector's editions and stuff, worth of cards to pick from. And there's quite a bit of reprints. So this is another challenge we're gonna have to figure out here. We're working with Legends. Revised is just a reprint set. Antiquities. Promotional set, no. Arabian Nights. Collector's Edition, no. Unlimited Beta Edition and Alpha Edition are all what's reprinted and revised. So we'll do Alpha. We'll do the first one, Alpha. So we've got 4 sets. Okay, let's start with Alpha. I mean, like, I feel like that's appropriate. So let's kind of narrow down what our deck's trying to do here. So our Umezawa deck is trying to get that combo out. So the first important thing is if there's any tutors, we want those. If there's any card draw, we want as much of that as possible so we can dig. The second most important thing is removal, and if there are any board wipes we can run, to pack it full of those because we don't want anybody else doing any of that stuff. And the third most important thing is counter spells. So this whole deck is just answers, dig until you can get that combo out, and then hopefully be able to protect anybody from doing anything about it and win on turn like 4. That's what we're trying to do. Let's see what fits that criteria we have set in place, if anything. We got Air Elemental, 3 and 2 blue for a 4/4 flying. I'm gonna save even stuff like that because we might need to end up filling up the deck. So maybe. Ancestral Recall is illegal. Anime Artifact. Again, we might do Animate Artifact. Who knows? We might end up needing like so much filler that they might end up making the cut. Blue Elemental Blast counters a red spell being cast or destroys a red card in play. We're not really worried about red. Brain Geyser, fantastic. X and 2 blue, draw X cards or force the opponent to draw X cards. We want to draw as much as we can. Clone. To this day, Clone's pretty solid, so we'll do Clone. Control Magic, 2 and 2 blue to gain control of a creature, enchant creature. Yeah, we'll definitely do that back then, because I feel like this deck, if the combo doesn't end up working, we're just a control deck that's gonna try to smack face with Umezawa enough times to win. But we're really trying to get that combo to work. Copy Artifact might make the cut. We can just copy the best artifact in play, maybe make another Basalt Monolith if we need to. Counterspell for sure. Counterspell 100%. We need as many of those as possible. Mahamoti Jin, 4 and 2 blue for a 5/6 flying. Again, we might use that. If this just ends up being like, if we don't end up getting the combo out, it has to just run like a control deck, then big flyers like aren't the worst thing we could put in here. Mana Short, 2 and a blue for an instant. All opponents' lands are tapped and opponent's mana pool is emptied. Ooh, we might end up running that. It's kind of like a silence. Just do it at the beginning of their turn. Merfolk of the Pearl Trident, 1 blue for a 1/1. Nah. Phantasm Forces, 4 and a blue for a 4/1 flying. Controller must spend blue during upkeep to maintain or phantasmal forces are destroyed. That's a really cool wording. I like how that's worded. Again, a 4/1 flyer that we have to pay 1 blue to keep. That's probably not the worst in a control deck. Phantasmal Monster, 3 and a blue for a 3/3 flying. Again, flyers, we'll take it. Power Sink, X and a blue for an interrupt. Target spell is countered unless its caster spends X more mana. Caster of target spell can't choose to let it be countered. If caster of spell doesn't have enough mana, the spell is countered. Yeah, so it's just like a syncopate, pretty much. We'll run that. We need counter spells. Prodigal Sorcerer, 2 and a blue for a 1/1 tap to do 1 damage to any target. I don't think we're allowed to not run that because it's such a cool card. Psionic Blast, 2 and a blue for an instant. Psionic Blast does 4 damage to any target, but it does 2 damage to you as well. That's actually pretty good. I wish they'd reprint that. We'll actually probably run that. That's not bad removal. Spell Blast. X and a blue for an instant. Target spell is countered. X is the cost of that spell. Yeah, we need counter spells. If there's better ones, we might take it out, but I don't know if there are. Stasis. 1 and a blue for an enchantment. Players do not get an untapped phase. Pay 1 blue during your upkeep, or stasis is destroyed. I don't want to run it, but we're in a control deck. We're trying to lock you out if our game plan doesn't work, so that works. Steel Artifact. 2 and 2 blue for an enchant artifact. You control enchant artifact. Yeah, we'll steal some stuff. It's a control deck. Time Twister. 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Set Time Twister aside in a new graveyard pile. Shuffle your hand, library, and graveyard together into a new library and draw a new hand of 7, leaving all cards in play where they are. Opponents must do the same. It's just a wheel for everybody? We'll run wheels. Twiddle. 1 blue for an instant. Caster may tap or untap any 1 target land, creature, or artifact in play. Twiddle's not bad. That might be able to like stop something from swinging at us or untap a basalt monolith for like that little bit of damage if we don't have the combo. So that actually works. Unsummon. 100%. That's just a classic. Vesuvian Doppelganger. 3 and 2 blue for an XX. Upon summoning Doppelganger, it acquires all normal characteristics except color of any 1 creature in play. On either side, any enchantments on the original creature are not copied. During controller's upkeep, Doppelganger may take on the characteristics of a different creature in play. Oh, so it's just a clone that shifts every upkeep. That seems great. Volcanic Eruption. X and 3 blue for a sorcery. Destroy X mountains of your choice and does X damage to each player and each creature in play. That doesn't seem bad. Like, if we can't find a better board wipe, that might have to be our board wipe. Wall of Air, 1 and 2 blue for a 1/5 flying. Again, that kind of does the control thing, keeps people off of us. Okay, now we're on black. Animate Dead. I feel like I'm not allowed to not run Animate Dead. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. And it just seems kind of good. We can just snatch big stuff back if it dies. If our commander dies, we let it die, bring it back. All the stuff we're killing in play, we'll kill all the biggest stuff with our removal and then get it back with our reanimate. That seems like another pretty good alternate win con. Bog Wraith, 3 and a black for a 3/3 Swamp Walk. That one might not be bad. I feel like that'll be unblockable a lot of the time back then because black seems like it's pretty strong. Contract from Below, I don't think is legal. It is not. Dark Ritual, 100%. That's going to let us play Basalt Monolith turn 1. Demonic Tutor, hell yes. Good. Howl from Beyond, X and a black for an instant. Target creature gets +X+O until end of turn. That could be another way to win. Hypnotic Spectre, 1 and 2 black for a 2/2 flying. Whenever it smacks somebody, they discard a card out of their hand. 100%. That seems great in here. Lord of the Pit is a classic. I gotta put that in here. That just seems like not a bad control piece either. 4 and 3 black for a 7/7 flying trample. You must sacrifice one of your own creatures or it does 7 damage to you on your upkeep. Yeah, it's just a big beefy beater late game in a control deck, so if we need it, sure. Mind Twist. X and a black. Opponent must discard X cards. That seems great in a control deck. Royal Assassin. 1 and 2 black for a 1/1. You can tap to destroy a tapped creature. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Sengir Vampire seems kind of good actually. 3 and 2 black for a 4/4 flying. So it gets +1/+1 every time it kills a creature and it's a 4/4 flying for 5. That seems fine. Terror. That seems great. Destroy target non-black, non-artifact creature. We need some removal. Okay, so that's our black cards. Now we're going into red here. Earthquake will probably be our best board wipe, and it's also an alternative fireball if our commander or if our opponent's at any less than life than we are. So that actually seems really good in here. Fork for sure. It's just like it can act as another counter spell, but it can also just double the best instant or sorcery that's played. So that seems really good in here. Fireball, that's the namesake of the deck, so 100% fireball's going in. Lightning Bolt for sure. That just seems like good removal. It can get us a little bit of damage we need. So Mana Barb seems sick because Mana Burn was the thing back then. So they're going to be taking a ton of damage from just using or not using mana. Doesn't matter. So that seems fine. Nickel and dime them down. We don't have to fireball as much if the combo doesn't work. I think Red Elemental Blast could definitely have a spot because it stops counter spells. So if it stops anybody trying to counter our combo, which I think is fine. Shivan Dragon for sure. 6-drop 5/5 flying you can pump up in a control deck. That's definitely going to do some stuff. Smoke seems really good. Two red for an enchantment. Each player can only untap 1 creature during their untap phase. So we're going to be smacking face with either Umezawa or a big flyer if our combo doesn't work. So we only are going to be swinging with one big thing most of the time anyway. Wheel of Fortune for sure. I mean, we could do the best wheel of all time, I guess. And then we'll move on to artifacts here. Basalt Monolith, 100%. That's the combo piece. Ankh of Mishra, 2 colorless for an artifact. It does 2 damage to anybody that plays a land, which seems kind of good in this deck. We have a couple burn pieces. Our main win con is a burn card. So nickel and diming people down actually seems like it's the move. Black Lotus, not legal. Howling Mine seems fine. Draws us more cards, digs us through our deck for our combo faster. Mana Vault, of course. Soul Ring, I mean, when else are you gonna get to run dual lands? So we'll put a Badlands in there. We'll put an Underground Sea in there, and then we're on to the next set, guys. All right, guys, let's move on to Arabian Nights. My monitor broke, so I'm on this little skimpy ass I don't even want to talk about it. But it's enough to edit my videos, so that's great. Yay. But I need to look for a new monitor, so that's also great. Yeah. Dude, everything you see on the media, TV, internet, anything's like bullshit. It's like, oh, I can't do that. How's he? Oh, I wish I could do that. Wow, look at how young he is doing that shit. Oh, man, he keeps his room so clean, man. This bed's made just as far as you can see it. None of this is real, so you just keep doing you, buddy. All right, so we're officially jumping into Arabian Nights. I think we're just going to jump to the cards that are actually playable in 1994 CEDH, because if we're reading every card, this is going to be a 40-50 minute video, and it might already be pushing that. I like Serendibity a lot. 2 and a blue for a 3/4 flying. It does 1 damage to you on your upkeep. I feel like having a 3/4 flying for 3 mana is way more valuable than that. Okay, now we're moving into black. Oubliette seems good. 1 and 2 black, and it pretty much just like exiles a creature in play, and it's an enchantment. That seems like a fine control piece. All right, now we're moving into red here. So no red cards. Honestly, this set's not very powerful. It's not a very strong set, if we're being honest. Check this out, though. 5/5 instead of it being a 10. That's kind of cool. Looking through some artifacts now. I don't know if there's anything in this set that's great, but we'll see. Jondor Saddlebag seems really good in here, actually. It'll untap Umezawa, so we can kill 2 things that are tapped. Actually, maybe more if we get more mana. That actually helps us late game if our deck doesn't work. I think Saddlebags is great in this, actually. We'll put the City of Brass in there. Some pretty good mana fixing. We'll put Bazaar of Baghdad in there. That seems like a good way to dig for our combo as well. Didn't ever really realize, I guess I haven't really like sat and like looked at these really older sets that intensively, how like underpowered some of that stuff was. Let's jump into Antiquity and see what we can find in this set. Okay, so this is the set where our main combo piece is in actually Power Artifact. So awesome. Power Artifact will make our Basalt Monolith cost 1 to untap, so that's our combo for the infinite mana, so definitely need one of those. Reconstruction doesn't seem bad. 1 blue to bring 1 artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Like, if they have an answer for the Basalt, we might be able just to return Basalt. That just seems like a good tool to have in the deck. Transmute Artifact doesn't seem bad. You pay 2 blue and you sack an artifact, and you search your library for an artifact that costs the same or less and put it into play. And if it costs more, you pay the difference, and then it comes into play, or it goes to your graveyard. Which seems pretty good, because if we get any of our other artifacts that aren't Basalt Monolith, we can just play this, crack the artifact, search for Basalt Monolith, and get our combo piece out. So we can turn any of our artifacts into Basalt Monolith, which seems super good in here. We're going on to black cards now. Artifact Possession doesn't seem like something we're into. So this is the first set where Phyrexians start coming into Magic. We've got the Gate of Phyrexia, and then we've got Phyrexian Gremlins, Priest of Yawgmoth. Yeah, not anything in the black cards we really need. We're moving into red now. Not really anything in red either, so let's go on to artifacts. Ashnod's just a super good EDH card. I don't think it really has a point of being in this deck. There's not really a lot of token production back then. But it is a really good card, so it feels weird skipping over it, but I think we have to. I don't think there's any infinite combos with Candelabra in the first 4 sets. I don't believe there's any lands that tap for multiple, but maybe there are. So if there are, we'll come back and put that in. I actually think Felden's Cane's pretty decent back. If we're talking EDH in 1994, I think Felden's Cane's actually really solid. I think games will go a lot longer, so you might need some reset options, so I think that actually works. Never realized Rocket Launcher was a card from this set. I don't know if anybody else did either, but that's interesting. Tanos' Coffin seems really good. 4 for an artifact, you can pay 3, tap it, and then you can choose not to untap it during your upkeep, and it exiles a creature in play for as long as Tanos' Coffin's tapped and in play. So you can always just let it untap and then pick something else that's a bigger threat, which is super flexible removal, which I think seems great. I feel like we might as well run the Power Plant, Mine, and Tower, right? I feel like there's no real point in not doing that, because then we could run the Candelabra, and if we get all 3 of these out, that's another way to get infinite mana. Okay, so that's Antiquities, which actually had a couple of good things for the deck. All right, guys, so now finally we're on the set itself. We're on Legends. Boomerang seems fine. It's just an unsummon for 1 more mana. I think that's fine in a control deck this old. Mana Drain 100% is going in here. Recall seems kind of good, actually. It's 2x and a blue, and you discard X cards, and then you can return X cards from your graveyard to your hand. So you can just replace all your mana and useless cards with like combo pieces they got rid of, tutors, draw a card, remove Soul. That just seems good back then. Counter their commander. How much cards cost back then, like the mana cost of creatures, like remove Soul actually seems really valuable back then. All right, blue did not have a ton. We're moving into black now. Greed for sure. Like I still run Greed in some of my commander decks now. So Hell's Caretaker, some really good reanimate. Again, like we said, Recursion's just good, and I think in especially old CEDH like this, it seems extra good. Nether Void's kind of wild. 3 and a black whenever a player casts a spell, counter it unless they pay 3. So all spells cost 3 more to play. I mean, we're the one that has the big infinite mana combo. I did not know Underworld Dreams was this old of a card. That is so cool. That art is awesome. $79 for that art. That's really cool. Never knew that was art for that card. And that just 3 black's just a little steep though. That's the only reason I just can't put it in here. Okay, now we're on to red. God, I love the old art. Like, that Masticore is so cool. It just looks like a D&D book. It looks like an old D&D book. Absolutely love it. Firestorm Phoenix might be worth it. It's 6 for a 3/2 flying, but every time it goes to your graveyard, it just comes back to your hand. So, again, I think these games are going to go long. So I think big flyers like that might be useful. I mean, Winds of Change. That's just a really good wheel. It's 1 red just to wheel. So I think that's going to help us dig for our combo. Great. And now we're moving on to artifacts. See what we can find here. Well, we've got multicolor as well. I guess we could run other Grixis stuff. I didn't think about that. So let's see if there's any other stuff that fits in our color pie. This one, each time a creature is placed in the graveyard during a turn in which Alexander damaged it. It's not very good. Puts a 1/1 minor demon into play when you tap it. That's not bad. I think late game, just spitting out 1/1 tokens and stuff could be another way to try to bring home a game. Gwendolyn I really do like, forcing people to discard. That seems like it's kind of fitting our control-y kind of feel. Nicol Bolas is just a good late game bomb. If it gets to that point, sure. Nebuchadnezzar, 3 a black and a blue for a 3/3. Pay X, tap it, name a card. Opponents reveal X cards from their hand at random or entire hand if he or she does not have enough cards. Opponents then discard any of those cards that match the chosen name. Okay, so you get to get one look at their hand, see all the cards they have, and then name the card that you saw last time and do it again and get them to discard. That's kind of cool. I actually kind of like that. If we find an answer with it, we can just kind of force them to get rid of it. Here are the artifacts of Legends. Let's see what we got. The mana batteries. I think I am going to put the mana batteries in here because there's just so little good mana ramp back then. There's like Mana Vault and there's like a couple like super solid ones, but there's like 4 or 5. So I do think we need other ways to just kind of like get some later game mana ramp. So I think the mana batteries will be great. Blue mana battery, black mana battery, and red mana battery. You can just store counters on them. Or you can just tap it for the color that it is, and then when you do tap it for the color it is, you also remove each counter on it and add an additional amount for each counter that's on it. So you can store mana for a big play. You can just use them as mana rocks. Back then, that actually seems really solid. Okay, and then we're on to lands. Not really. Okay, so we've got essentially the deck here. So I'm going to get this laid out on a deck building website. Hopefully it's something cool. I think it actually looks kind of nice. We honestly had the perfect amount of cards. We were like 6 cards over. So we ended up getting rid of a couple like clunky creatures. We ended up getting rid of Rocket Launcher, which I really didn't want to get rid of, but we had to. But now we actually have a pretty actually cool looking deck. I have all the cards switched to the formats that we got them out of, or the sets that we got them out of. So if you want to go check this deck out, link is going to be in the description and down in the comments. Let me know how you liked this video and how you think this deck turned out. I think it actually turned out pretty good. It's got pretty decent card draw packages, pretty decent removal packages, a couple board wipes, a few mana ramps in the form of mana batteries, which isn't bad, and Mana Vault and Soul Ring. So I mean that's not terrible. It's got alternate win conditions with the amount of flyers we win. Every single creature we run's a flyer except for Gwendolyn, Royal Assassin, and Vesuvian Doppelganger. So we have alternate win cons in the form of flyers. We've got plenty of ways to dig with wheel cards like Wheel of Fortune and Winds of Change. Tons of card draw cards. Like we've got Brain Geyser, access to tons of good stuff like that. Counter spells to make sure our combos can go off. And of course our combo, that Basalt Monolith Power Artifact Fireball combo, which can win turn 3 in this deck, which is awesome. We're looking at about an even divide between black and red, but our blue is exponentially higher than our other colors, which I kind of suspected. Blue was and always has been just such a powerful color. Let's see what a test hand in this looks like. I mean, that's not bad. We get turn 1 Mana Vault into Howling Mine, and then we can start digging for our combo. So that actually works. We had Unsummon with a blue, so that's good. Let's see what else we get. Let's get another hand. Bazaar Baghdad, City of Brass, and an island. Oh, Swamp and an island, Mana Barb's Recall. This one might not be that bad, honestly, because of the recall. We'll be able to ditch a lot of these lands and replace them with stuff, and then Mana Barbs will be able to ping people down, so that's not terrible. Let's try one more. Urza's Mine, Swamp, Island, Candelabra, Ankh, Hypnotic Spectre, Gwendolyn. That's not terrible, depending on what we draw into. Let's see what our 3 draws are. Red Elemental Blast, Shivan Dragon, Basalt Monolith. Oof. I guess we get 4 draws because we'd be able to play those 3 lands and then draw into a swamp. So then we could play our Hypnotic Spectre. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not terrible. Let's play test it. Let's see what one of these looks like. Let's draw a new hand first, and then we'll play test it. All right, let's play test it and see how. Let's draw a new hand, and then we'll play test. Okay, I wouldn't keep that. I'd probably keep that. Play test. Cool. So we got a turn 1 island. Well, we draw because it's multiplayer, of course. Then it comes back around to us. Draw again. Not bad. Play a mountain. Pass back. Comes back around to us. We get smoke. That's actually not bad. That costs 4. So right now we don't have enough to really do anything. So we're just going to pass back around. Which, like I said when we were building this is going to be very, very slow. This is going to deal 1 damage to us on our upkeep. Or we have to play a blue on our upkeep. Or sack it, but it's a 4/1 flyer. So that seems pretty decent. Comes back around, we draw and do the Efreet, which does 1 damage on our upkeep and is a 3/4 flyer, so we'll go ahead and drop that. So we've got a 3/4 flyer, a 4/1 flyer, pass back around, comes back to us, we draw, we get a Felden's Cane, which isn't terrible. We'll play Smoke. Each player can only untap 1 creature during their untap step, so that this locks in us being able to bash in with one of our flyers. That's pretty good. Pass back around to us. We get an unsummon and an island. It's not terrible. It's very slow and clunky, which is exactly kind of what I expected with this old of a deck being built. But the idea of it's so cool, and I love how different the format feels when you're playing with cards this old. Let's do that one more time. Let's get a fresh draw in, and then we'll play test a little bit. Sure, play test that. Okay, so we'll go first and draw because it's commander. Play a swamp, pass back around, comes to us. We'll play a mountain, then we'll play an Ankh of Mishra, and we'll start pinging everybody for 2 if they play lands. Comes back around to us. We'll play a land and take 2, and then we'll play our wall, a 1/5 with flying, so nothing can get through. Comes back around us, we draw. That's a super cool draw. We get our mana battery, so we'll play our blue mana battery, and then it'll come back around to us. We get a Winds of Change. Hope that should be on top. We get a Winds of Change, which we will definitely use. Sweet, that's actually really good. And then at the beginning of someone's turn, we'll mana short them. Tap them out of their mana so they can't play that turn. Comes back around to us. Ooh, that's pretty good. See, this is great. So we could use the transmute artifact thing to sack one of our artifacts. So we'll sack our Ankh. And then we'll be able to search for Basalt Monolith because Basalt costs 1 more than Ankh, we'll have to pay 1 mana. Then Basalt comes into play, and then we've got one of our combo pieces in play, and then hopefully we can draw into something else. Anyone else wants to try this out, building a deck from this era? I think that'd be fun just to see the ideas that people come up with. I think a format like called Legends would be awesome, where it's just this. You have to build a deck with these old cards. Very expensive, but I think it'd be like a proxy format. But if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. I really, really, really enjoyed making this, the deck and the video. It was very, very fun. So I'm definitely want to make some more. I've got tons of extremely good content coming your way. I've been really buckling down and trying to like come up with some good stuff for you guys to watch. So much appreciated. If you liked it, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. If you want to show a little bit of additional support, you can head over to Patreon at patreon.com/NixLotus. Helps me out a ton. And you can get shouted out at the end of videos. And speaking of shoutouts at the end of the video, we got our $1 Lotus Dippers: Tyler, Betsy, David, X for Fiend, Big Dog, Horny Badger, and Daniel Romero. Much love. And then we've got our $5 Lotus Enjoyer, Telescope Teddy. Tell him how you feel. Then we've got our $25 Lotus Loving Son of a Guns, Mad Dog 316, now Floppo. If you want to become the last Lotus Loving Son of a Gun, there's only 3 slots open. Feel free. Much love to you guys a lot. And much love to all you guys watching. I appreciate all the support so much. And much love, and go play some Magic.